there were bullet holes in the fence. There was news that the drone flew in, and these guys came out and shut it down.
Oh my gosh. I know it's been a crazy streak of events.
At 11, there was a bomb threat. There's a lot of copycats out there. Your personal touch.
I think aside from just me getting straight into the topics and that I want to just discuss, for the people that might not know, would you be able to explain what you do and what you represent, even though it's visible on the hoodie right there?
Yeah. So we do a lot of things. Actually, it's HIPTHER is much bigger than just conferences and media, because we also run the Strava running and cycling club, where we have around 150 iGaming industry and tech industry people joining for different competitions. But it's also awesome to see that how people can meet each other at conferences and start networking runs with this club that we launched. So it's not us organizing anything, it's the community doing it. So that's the idea behind it. The hashtag HIPTHERs is actually the community. HIPTHER is the company, but the hashtag HIPTHERs is for the community. It's basically an idea we had for like people with open mind, getting all together under one community. It's not about like selling products, or it's just like being a big family.
And what came first, the cycling, or came or after the community, and then it came into the expo?
Yeah, so basically it was first the conferences, and later these clubs, the running and cycling, are for 2 years now. There's different competitions, and we have challenges. This year we had a challenge when, that February is the quitting month, where everybody is like, New Year's is coming, everybody wants to be fit, everybody wants to be healthy. But come February, they're like, okay, like time passed, I'm not doing it. But we launched the challenge just for February until the end of March have people still doing this stuff. And actually it worked. So it was fun to see how people were like still challenged to do something. But yeah, this is like a different part of the stuff we do.
You've been building HIPTHER for years now. What originally made you think that smaller community-driven events would actually compete against these massive dinosaur expos out there? This is an obvious question.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you.
So basically, the events we started 10 years ago. Before there were so many large events. Back then, it was only ICE.
By back then, when?
2016.
Okay.
It was only ICE, and Sigma was launching in 2015. Actually, we helped them with the media and everything. We were supporting them. We were sending affiliates to them so they can pay for their flights, pay for everything. It was their first edition. I remember Iman joining us even at our first conference back then. So yeah, back then it wasn't like big conferences. There were ICE, and it was G2E in Las Vegas, and there were a couple of Clarion organized events in Eastern Europe. So the idea to host conferences came when I was invited to one because we launched the media side. Before that, I was an affiliate, and then got into media. So we started covering B2B. We had a printed magazine. We were going to conferences, and I was invited to Sofia in 2015 to moderate a panel. So I was like, man, I'm moderating a panel with regulators, lawyers, and I'm coming from the affiliate side. So it was very interesting to see the how things are different. So when I got off from that panel, I received an email from Clarion, and I was invited to Budapest after 3 or 4 weeks, Bucharest, to one of their conferences to moderate a different panel. So of course, I'm not going to throw dirt at this event organizer because they're huge. But I wasn't introduced to the people who are in my panel. One of them was the Latvian regulator, actually.
Oh, wow.
And the other one was from New Zealand. And I did not even know them. I did not even receive an email to be introduced. I had to look them up. I had a panel at around 11. And at 9, I was looking for them on LinkedIn, how they look, so we can introduce, and they were like, okay, Latvian regulator was first time speaking on a panel. he was like this, and I said, okay, I'm an expert. This is the second panel I'm moderating. So yeah, of course, we quickly draw up some discussion points, and yeah, we had a great panel. But after that, it came to me that, okay, these guys are charging around 800 euros for people to attend the conference. The quality is in the content. So basically, if you don't have an expo, as you've seen at our conference here in Riga, if you don't have an expo, you only have the content. So the content has to be quality. As guys, you had a 1.5 hour panel yesterday,
was epic,
which was scheduled for 1 hour, and you had 30 minutes extra. And I believe that even if you could talk for another 30 minutes, people would have stayed in the room because it was so engaging. And this is what was missing from those conferences they were doing in the region. There was no quality, and people were charged a lot of money to attend, but there was nothing. So that's why we decided, okay, let's start doing our own conferences in the region. We started with Budapest. We got 100 people at the first conference. It was awesome. And we had a focus on the quality of the content. So I always tell this story because Budapest was like a test of fire for us, because at 11, there was a bomb threat at the hotel.
Oh, wow.
So alarms were ringing. We were like, okay, this is our second panel. There's a 5-minute delay. And
this is some Hollywood stuff. How do you plan for a bomb threat on your first event?
Yeah, it was crazy. We had to go out from the hotel. Secret Service came, bombs, tactics, everything. But it was great for networking because some of the people actually left their bags in the conference room because they were rushing out.
Right.
And they did not have money with them to go to a restaurant. So their prospect who were meeting at the conference were paying for their dinner at the nearby restaurant. So it was crazy. Yeah, but yeah, we don't know what. Secret Service called me up, invited me in, and they said they found actually a package there. We don't know if it was a bomb or not, but
so
it was so crazy. But this was the first conference. And from that, okay, let's expand. We wanted to have a conference in Vienna with a small expo, and then Prague as well. We wanted to add 3 conferences. But in Vienna, 2017, March, when we had the conference, when we were walking by, we had the venue next to the United Nations building. There were bullet holes in the fence. There was news that the drone flew in, and these guys came out and shut it down.
Oh my gosh!
So this is the second conference, and we were like, "What the hell, man?" You know, like. So in Vienna, once we wrapped up the conference, we went to Prague to visit the hotel to see the venue where we host the next conference. And while we travel by car, we bring the dogs with us. So I was taking the dogs out for walk, and police everywhere. And it turns out there was a bomb threat at the Google headquarters, which was next to the hotel we were booking for the conference. So it was 3 situations. I'm like, man, this is a sign, you know. But yeah, such stuff didn't happen afterwards, so it was all cool. And we started doing these small conferences and focusing much more on the networking side and the quality of the networking, like boat trips on the Danube, like dinners, parties, karaoke. We added karaoke as well, which was first for people. Like we did not even know what to expect with karaoke. And Riga was actually the first place in 2023. At the Friends karaoke bar, where we first had a karaoke party. And we're like 10, 15 minutes, nobody was singing. So we started breaking the ice, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and there was a queue of 20 people wanted to sing. Everyone was like, wow.
So would you say that, that long ago, you have like these major events. You said Sigma just started scaling up, and you started making your own operations regarding networking. Were they throwing big events like that, like big parties already? That was a thing at that time?
Yeah. They were throwing big parties every time. When they started, they were already doing big parties.
I see. Okay.
Now it got even bigger, as you can see.
Yeah.
There's DJs and concerts and everything. It's like a festival. So it's a good thing that it's scaling. But I think there's now a culture being developed, conference culture. You know, like everybody's traveling to one of the other conferences. But the thing is, and I always get like stoned for this on LinkedIn when I say that every time somebody attends a conference, they say this is the best conference ever.
But it's true. They
Next
all do
week,
say
it's
that.
the
Yeah,
best conference. So,
yeah.
man, like decide which one do you like. Like not all conferences are best ever.
Facts. I feel like that's just constant praising towards everybody. Just like, why would you just admit it? Somebody walked on the expo, broke their foot. You guys know the exact event, or bathrooms were not built right, or something. I mean, those are like small technical things for a functioning event out there. But
I mean, man, in 2016, at one of the affiliate conferences in Berlin, we saw somebody broke their skull on the stairs.
What?
Blood everywhere. So it wasn't our conference. It was a conference we attended. But
you guys do the bomb threats, right?
we have our own stuff.
Yeah, you have your own taste. So since wow, so big shoes to fill here. You've been around for a very long time when it comes down to I guess to say the art of networking and creating these opportunities. You've met thousands of people, I believe, already at this time. So, of the thousands of people you meet every year across iGaming, tech, crypto, AI, and regulators, what do you think? What's one thing you can teach us and value? What's the thing you think most people completely misunderstand about networking these days?
Oh, the quality of networking. So, like I said, these parties with the concert and what we hear from the participants attending our conferences is the scale of these parties are getting out of hand. So it's not about networking anymore, it's about partying. You don't have the opportunity to have a sit and talk with somebody during these networking parties because the music is either too loud or there's too much people and everybody wants to run around and meet somebody new. So this is what we get as feedback that, of course, you cannot do that at a big conference. Like if you have like around 300, 400 people like we have, you can still move people around for different parties. But you have thousands, you miss out on this part. Because if you have like 300 people, we book jazz clubs with a small like 3-4 hour concerts with food and everything so people can like talk and have fun and have quality networking. But if you have like 1,000 people, you cannot just like do this because you need bigger venues, you need like different stuff. Of course, in Prague, after this jazz stuff ends, we have a tradition. We send the message in the WhatsApp group. Okay, guys, we're heading to a nearby karaoke as an after party. It's unofficial, but everybody's waiting already for that message to be sent. So maybe 50% of them come there and we spend the night there. We leave when they shut down the lights. So we leave at 5 o'clock in the morning, and this is like a special moment. This is like also partying, but it's networking in a way that you connect with somebody with whom you're singing on a stage that you don't even know. But the thing is that something that I saw during the years is that these quieter networking sessions are different because you know that we are in an industry which is somehow seen as an outsider industry by our friends community. You cannot talk with your friends about the gambling industry. They say, okay, you guys are like, and this is a part where you get to talk to people who understand you. And we actually saw people have tears in their eyes of joy because they can talk to somebody for hours and hours about the industry because you don't get that. I mean, probably you have the same thing.
I have the same thing. So, I got a question. Is that how you built your network?
So it's just like built it throughout the conferences. We don't pay for advertising or anything. It's just mouth to mouth. We have people that stick around to our conferences for 10 years now. They're like part of like a family. There's some cases when they even visit each other during the holidays. So this is how we built it. We just left them in that room basically to have that quality time together.
I always find myself, and I like that you mentioned that these conferences, it's becoming a culture. I totally agree. And I'm not praising you here. This is because I have my own opinions on everything as well. It's what I believe makes a good podcast, should be like that. but it just happens that I do agree with you. But on the first 2 years when I started in my career, I first of all, I built my whole career and my exposure through conferences, as you've
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
seen throughout the years. And something that I talked with Ian Bedford before on one of the episodes, I like what he said was, so on LinkedIn you get to build up your reputation, but on the expos you get to see how good of a job you did and if people
yeah,
recognize you. So that was the formula that I was doing before, building my rep up on LinkedIn and then going to the expos. Now, of course, the first few years I went to the parties just to experience it and so on. Now, can I tell you when Benny Benassi's blasting on the turntables, I can do a business deal? No, not a single business deal in the last 10 years has been made for me on the dance floor. So, but for me, how I started attending these events, I was like, oh, okay, networking and drinks or dinners.
yeah,
Sometimes even the awards is okay. And I know there's 1,000
yeah,
awards right now, but I don't care. All I care is about talking. You know,
yeah.
the circular tables, people sitting in a circle, like those are my favorite type of tables because you get to talk to everybody. So strategically, I'm a guy that talks to people. I communicate and I build my network just like that. So when I go to these expos, I only look for, like I tell my managers, get me into networking events. Don't
Yeah.
put me in the parties. I don't care about the parties. You know, I've lived through that. I've seen them. I'm fine with them. Now, you've seen, obviously, through your experience, countless booths, campaigns, and launches. And yesterday we talked about operators and affiliates. But right now in modern culture, I just want to hear your take. What do you think is one of the things that operators still waste too much money on?
Oh, well, first thing I would say is not attending the right conferences. We had this, of course, I'm biased here uh, by our own conferences because we heard so many times speakers that are attending our conference and operators that are attending our conferences basically giving a chance to attend our conferences because they run around on these expos because they have around 400 speakers at these big expos, but there's no value quality in terms of the panels because it's in the middle of the freaking expo and you cannot hear what they talk. We had some of the speakers telling us, "Oh my God, finally, I have a moderator. I'm on time on a stage." And I'm not going to wait for people to come and sit on some chairs looking to us because they are in the room expecting us to talk. So this is the thing that operators sometimes they go to these large conferences and they don't get the right information because we have the regulators always. Of course, other conferences have the regulators as well, but like you're in the room with them and you can ask them stuff, and you have the networking party which is quiet and you can sit down and you can talk with them, and then this is something that you cannot replicate. This is something that you can only do like on fancy sponsored dinners at
You're right.
conferences where you get, it's just invite only. Probably you have to sponsor, you probably have to spend a lot of money to attend that dinner and have that regulator, I don't know who, to talk with. But here you buy a ticket and you come to the conference. We don't ask you to sponsor to meet a regulator, I don't know who. So
Interesting, yeah, because for a lot of whether it's SBC Sigma, there's a lot of these specific VIP dinners. That's an extra cost
yeah,
on top of like a
that's an
500
extra
euro
cost.
ticket or
Of
more.
course, they have to make money. So I don't blame large conference organizers. They have to make money. Of course, that's a different thing. But there's also the opportunity to like explore these smaller conferences. Not just ours. There's many other different conferences, like smaller ones, which can be explored. And sometimes the operators are not seeing this as a value because they want to be at the large conferences because there's many people there. But they are chased by suppliers.
Yeah.
So even at our conference, we launched this networking app, and all I see is suppliers. Like, who are the operators? I mean, come on, man, they are there. Come meet them. If they want to talk to you, they will talk to you. Sit on a panel, have your say, not a product demo. And they will look for, even we have some of our sponsors who being like operators are coming to the conference to meet them because we don't have 100 sponsors. We have 5, 10, maximum 15 because we don't want to overwhelm everybody with logos and merchandise. So I think modern operators are skipping out on this like smaller events which have more quality in terms of information, because they do need information to be compliant.
And I feel like it just doesn't hurt to send one or two representatives to a smaller
Exactly.
event where they can specifically talk to these people without cutting out the noise, I guess what we're trying to say here. Now, when we talk about networking and growing your personal network, growing your network to be able to build your own brand as HIPTHER, back then, and when I say back then, 2017 or so on, how do you think a network, your personal network and network in general, was built versus right now? Because we have technology, we have media. Was it more focused on conversation mouth to mouth versus today? What's the contrast? Is it more tech, online, or is it still mouth to mouth? What's still working?
In our case, it's still mouth to mouth. I try to be active on LinkedIn, but yeah, it hurts. Like
Yeah.
being like coming up with some stupid post every day just to stay relevant is
Oh, yeah.
it's not for me. I tried it. Every time I post a meme, I even get more appreciation and
It's
impressions
crazy, right?
then I have to say something about a certain conference or a certain program. So I quit doing that. I now like maybe post once per day about the trips that we do to our conference, and that's it. So maybe some personal stuff or about sports, because yeah, it's crazy nowadays with these. You have to like battle on LinkedIn with influencers
Oh, yeah.
that are doing this as their job to attract clients. So it's still word mouth to mouth. Of course, we have our own newsletters that we send for our the participants, the database, and that always grows. That they invite somebody else to our conference and so on. But I get a lot of connection requests daily, and it's interesting that in the Baltics, when we organize a conference, I always like filter out my connections in the Baltic area, and it turns out I have around almost 3,000 connections in Lithuania, around 1,800 in Latvia, and around 2,000 in Estonia. And I always have to filter out to send the invitation for the speakers, and I sometimes invite people to just like attend the conference. But that's worth. And they know that, hey, this is Zoltán. He's built this conferences, and they are coming to the conference because of the quality and what they've seen or heard from everybody else. So everybody, if they ask somebody has been at one of our conferences, so they know that is the right place to be.
And so, with all these years, all these experiences that you've had, even bomb threats that we have heard just now, what do you think was one of the biggest mistakes, and how much did it cost you by launching one of these events throughout all the years?
So basically, coming back after COVID in 2022, because we were the first ones to switch to virtual conference in 2020, because we already had the experience. We were doing like online panels being streamed from conference 2018. We also had an online radio, iGaming radio, where we had for around 3 years host news every day. So we had this pause of 1 year of not doing conferences, 2 years, sorry, but in 2021, some of the organizers started doing conferences. But actually in 2022, during the whole lockdowns, we had an in-person conference in August in Tallinn. So that was Mare Balticum, which was 50% people in the room, and they attended the conference, which was the only iGaming conference that was held in that period. And we even had the last iGaming conference being held before the lockdowns on March 8th in Prague, where we had the antivirus party and everything. But after that, they locked down the world, so there were no conferences. So coming back in 2022, we did not know what to expect. So that year was like a smaller event. So we had around 60% of what we used to have. So this was like, we came back maybe too early, but we seen that in 2023 that it doubled. So we stopped doing the Budapest conference. This was one of our. We started in Budapest for 9 years. We've been 8 years. We did the conference there, and we also had the Prague conference. both of them focused on Central and Eastern Europe. So for us, it was like a no-brainer to like only have one, because two conferences on the same region would have been crazy. So in 2023, we ended that conference in Budapest, the series, with the stretch limousines picking up the conference people, going to the Danube, having a cruise, final dinner, and that was it. And I think that the mistake we made that year is not communicating enough in terms of what's really happening and why are people not coming back to the conferences. But it was fixed in 2024, and now it's like 4 times. Every conference has grown a lot. So yeah, of course, mistakes are there always. I think that one of the mistakes we made also is having these awards. Of course, our event marketing will not like this, but I think that all these awards are so stupid. We have them. We have 3. We have the one for the Baltics. We have Central and Eastern Europe. We also have the European ones, but it's too much. I don't want to do them anymore. We do them because people want them.
Of course.
But I don't want to do them anymore because it's like there's an award happening every week, I think.
Oh, yeah. And for like the craziest categories as well.
And we don't do these type of dinners. We have actually we had a Halloween party where we were having the awards in Warsaw. So I try to make as much fun of these award ceremonies as possible, not to have that same style, big stage, you have some famous presenter, fireworks and everything. No, man, just come, have fun. You're sitting at the table, I'm coming to give you an award. And we were joking about it, that we should start giving as many awards as participants at give an award for everybody at the conference. Best shoe, best hair. I don't know.
It should be like that, honestly. So with going through bomb threats and COVID and everything, but you're also a businessman. So I mean, you're somebody that runs a brand. You're a businessman, and if you have to give one advice to anybody that's trying to run a long-term brand, what's the one advice you'd give them?
Add your personal touch. Nowadays, I think it's much more important to be unique and give that personal stuff other than copy. There's a lot of copycats out there, so everybody's trying to copy each other. If they see that they have impressions, value, or something like that, try to be yourself. Make your own niche.
Do you think that personal branding now matters more than company branding?
Yeah, definitely does. Definitely does, because I don't know where I heard this. I think it was Eman who said that people are going to work with the person, not with the company, because that's more important than the company.
I'm seeing that a lot more right now, and I'm not sure. It's kind of like also with media. We didn't get to cover media for a little bit. I was saying this at an interview before. Usually I interview people. I barely get interviewed. But the first time in my life when I do, I said, I had a question. How do you think that brands are even scaling regarding not even just expos, but just publicly? And I said that the movement, when I started doing this raw TikTok type of content 5-6 years ago, I didn't even see affiliates do that kind of stuff. Now every single company has a podcast, etc., and so on. We talked about this before we even started recording it. How do you feel about this, and the fact that I think that most companies will be becoming media brands and scaling their company from the media side?
You see suppliers now even having conferences. Some of the suppliers are planning to organize conferences. And this is something that pops into my head that, okay, so where's the competition? So basically, as a supplier, you are doing a conference for your own clients, probably, right?
Yeah.
Because at a larger, a event organizer has different suppliers from which operators can pick who to talk with. Affiliates can talk with the programs, but if they start doing it's going to shrink. It's probably going to get them exposure in terms of brand awareness, but somehow their clients is going to shrink. And it's like Seinfeld said it, when you have like, when you broke up with your girlfriend and then you get back, it's like the same thing. And when two magicians are showing tricks to each other, like they already know what's going to happen. So these suppliers that are going to have conferences and everything for their own clients, they I already seen this, like bring something new, bring something new, and they will stop innovating either way at a certain point, because it's like a briefing basically. It's not like something new. So I think that these podcasts and like I said, events are maybe going to be here for, let's say, a year. But after a year difference, you will see the difference between those who actually have quality and the rest who are just like doing it to get the impressions and brand awareness, because you still need to stick to quality.
Very interesting point. Yeah, actually, it sounds like a very obvious point, but you're right. I never even thought about it. I mean, even if you go on Instagram, you type in, as soon as I start typing in, because that's how my algorithm on Instagram works. I type in like AFF
Yeah,
for
yeah.
affiliates, and all these shorts start popping up, and
You cannot choose.
yeah, it's so much. And you have them in different languages as well, worldwide, like local ones even. And I think the ones that really like, yeah, let's give it a year and see how good it is in a year. And I feel like that's why I think I told you before the show, I feel like even in the first 50 episodes that we have here, 100% I'm not going to nail it. Like, yeah, this is it. Probably in a year, I'll look at my own videos and be like, damn, I was shit, like, that's what I would like to see, meaning that I have grown somehow,
of course.
because again, just doing regular coverage videos for and that's also true that we see a lot of these media brands attending. There's even I get LinkedIn DMs for these brands that are managing podcasts now for corporate companies, and I received already like 3 offers. They're like, Ray, I like the clips, but where are you trying to get at with this podcast? I'm like, I'm experimenting, dude. Back off for now,
And you're
like,
curious.
yeah.
You're curious. You want to learn things. So I think that behind every successful podcast, it has to be the curiosity of the person doing the interview, right? Because otherwise, if you're doing this for just like to get hits, impressions, it's not going to work, because you need to be curious and you want to learn about it, and that's when your guests are very comfortable in this seat, because they know that, okay, I'm not here that you're going to have an angle on this podcast, that you want to have a sponsor that I don't know who is paying, that maybe to get impressions, and then you have to throw on that logo, because you're curious, right? You're here because you want to learn.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I think we've I have like 30 questions out here, but I mean,
Joe Rogan style, we stay here for 3 hours,
oh
4
yeah,
hours.
I I like to keep these episodes short because I'm not Joe Rogan. I think he has probably one of the biggest authorities out there that can allow guests for talking 3.5 hours, like Elon Musk. I'm not a fan of him, just saying. They sit there smoking joints for 3.5 hours, and people watch it, and you have that kind of authority. Not yet, not for me, not yet. And I'm super thankful that you were able to stop by. I know it's been a crazy streak of events. I know.
More are coming.
Yeah, so HIPTHER is going next where?
Tallinn.
And that's
In just 3 weeks.
That's it.
So we've been 3 weeks ago, we were in Vilnius. Now we're here in Riga, and in 3 weeks we'll be in Tallinn. And already planning for Warsaw for October. Prague already is in the works for next year. And we're going to have Athens added. And yeah, you hear it here first. We are going to launch an AI summit in Vienna next year.
And we didn't even talk about AI. That's a whole nother thing, man. That is
Everybody talks about
everybody
AI, so why
talks
should
about
we
it.
talk
Why should we talk about it? I don't even want to discuss it because it's especially for like affiliates. We talked about it in panel discussions. There's tools. There's so many ways that you can implement integrate AI into completely
AI
everything.
powered?
I'm probably AI generated. This whole studio is AI generated. Zoltán, thank you. And you guys, if you want close networking events and actually learn something, make sure you attend the HIPTHER events. Zoltán, thank you so much for stopping by,
It's
mate.
been great.
And obviously, next event for you guys is coming up.
Yeah.
So busy times ahead.
I hope to see you there as well.